everyone, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the English Academy. This video is all about Umar Khayyam Zubair taken from an anthology of English poetry. I'm gonna give you detailed explanation of the whole Rubaiyat line wise, but before explaining you this, I want you to have a look at the person, its introduction, who actually translated this Rubaiyat from Persian to English. Edward Fitzgerald was an English writer, best known as the poet of the first and most important, most famous English translation of the Rubaiyat of Umar Khayyam. He was born in 1809 and was died in 1883. So he was the person behind the English translation of Umar Khayyam's Rubaiyat, which was actually written in Persian language. Umar Khayyam was born in 1048 in Nishapur in northeast Persia, now Iran. He was a mathematician, scientist, astronomer, philosopher, and a poet. His work as a poet has overshadowed his fame as a mathematician and scientist. Khayyam wrote about 1,004 line verses or quatrains called rubais. These quatrains verses reflect his philosophy and spiritual beliefs. His poetry has been translated into many languages. Khayyam died in 1123 in Nishapur. So students, it was all from the person who translated it into English and who actually wrote it. Right here, I want to make you understand one thing, that is the term quatrain. It is actually a 4 line stanza, or the stanza comprises of 4 lines, especially one having alternate rhymes. In such type of stanzas, you will find alternative rhymes. Rhymes and alternate lines, you can say actually. So let's start with the first stanza. Right here, I want you to have something in your hands, like your notebook and pens, to copy down the explanation, as it's going to be a bit not that much difficult, but written explanation will be helpful for you. So it is recommended to make notes out of this video. So without wasting time, let's start. Awake for morning in the bowl of night. The poem begins with an invitation to awaken, signaling the end of night and the arrival of morning. The bowl of night is a metaphor for the sky, which is being filled with the light of dawn. Simple is that someone is waking you up because the night has been over and the morning, the day has been started. Has flung the stone that puts the stars to flight. The stone refers to the sun rays, which are like stones cast into the sky, chasing away the stars. The stars flee or are put to flight as the morning light overpowers them. This line suggests the sudden and dramatic transition from night to day. And lo, the hunter of the east has caught. The hunter of the east is sun, which rises in the east and is often depicted as a hunter or warrior. The word lo is an archaic expression that draws attention to the majesty of the scene. The Sultan's turret is a noose of light. The Sultan's turret refers to the pinnacle or highest point of a palace or castle, symbolizing power and grandeur. The noose of light is a beautiful and intricate image suggesting the sun's rays are wrapping around the turret, a small tower or building, illuminating it and rendering it visible. The turret, once shrouded in darkness, is now caught and revealed in the light of dawn, sun. Students, if I summarize this whole stanza, so it's simply telling us or describes the breathtaking movement of sunrise where the night is chased away and the world is bathed in the warm golden light of morning. The imagery is vivid and evocative, drawing the reader into the beauty of the natural world. In this stanza, poet has beautifully depicted the scene, the transition, the changing from night to day, that how beautifully the night has been over and how beautifully again the day has been started, and when the day has started, the sun has risen up, all the things are illuminated or shined, or everything is visible in the sunlight. The next stanza. I sometimes think that never so red the rose as where some buried Caesar bled. Students, right here this word Caesar has got two pronunciations. In English, it is pronounced as Caesar, and in Persian, it is pronounced as Caesar, right? So we will follow the English pronunciation because the poem has been now translated into English. If I explain you these two lines, so the poet suggests that the rose's beauty is heightened when it's imagined to be nourished by the blood of a great historical figure like Caesar. This idea implies that beauty can emerge from sacrifice and death. The beauty that has been nourished via someone's sacrifice has an other level of beauty. Poet is trying to say this. And the other idea that this line implies is that the value and significance of someone are amplified by its connection to greatness. The other two lines of this stanza, that every hyacinth the garden wears dropped in its lap from someone's lovely head. The speaker muses that the hyacinth's beauty might be attributed to the lovely hair of someone who once wore it, now lost of time. This line reinforces the themes of transience and mortality, the fleeting nature of beauty. Let me summarize this stanza for you. This stanza as a whole explores the intertwined nature of beauty, mortality, and the passage of time. It suggests that our appreciation for beauty is often heightened by the awareness of its impermanence and the stories behind it. If we know the stories behind the beauty of the nature, behind the beauty of something, so it actually increases its value, its everlasting effect. So, students, right here we are done with stanza 1 and stanza 2, along with the introduction of the poet Omar Khayyam, who has actually wrote this rubaiyat, and the person Edward Fitzgerald, the writer who has translated it into English. Right here we are ending this video. We are left with two more stanzas, right? And the explanation of the two more stanzas you will be having in your next video. Don't forget to watch the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.